So, I guess I always think about my marriage and my husband and our children. And one of the things I was thinking I would talk about is some of the things that we agreed upon about how we wanted our lives to be together in marriage. The things that we would hope would happen, and some of the things that we didn't want to have happen. So, I guess before we took the vows, we tried to talk and see what it is we wanted to agree on. And while I was doing some other videos, I really thought about that. And one of the main things, not okay, being that you see a lot of marriages and relationships where people are hurting each other. I guess watching all these 2020s datelines and 48 hours and all that, and you just see this horrible stuff. But in addition to that, just in our personal lives, we've seen people go through things. And with my dad having been a pastor as his child, I saw a lot of things. And you see it because if something's going on, whether it's happy or sad, a pastor's family is going to know some things. We don't know everything. You know, we were children, so it's not like they were telling us everything. But like I said, if somebody went to the hospital, we knew. If they were getting married, my dad was probably marrying them. If there were children being born, he wasn't delivering them, but he may have done the christening, or he was baptizing everybody. So he was always there. He was the president of PTA at our school. Just, I mean, he was there over the 4-H club. Just, I mean, like the full extension office type stuff. Not like them coming out there every month to do projects with us, but just like over the main community thing. So he was involved in a lot of stuff. So, like I said, whether something good or bad was happening, we kind of knew, having to counsel people and relationships and marriages and situations. So I just saw a lot of things that you hate to see that happens in somebody's lives. So one of the things that I remember us talking about before we got married is wanting to make sure. I said I just did not want to be in a relationship where we're disagreeing. If we have a disagreement, where we're first off hitting each other, domestic violence. I didn't want to be in a relationship like that. I didn't want to be in a relationship where either of us is having to run for our lives. Because I know of situations where people have had that happen. I didn't want us to be in a relationship where we're arguing and this weekend you're moving out and then you're moving back and forth. It's either, okay, we work it out, or we divorce. But try to work it out, try to work it out, try to work it out. And then if it doesn't work out, then we figure it out from that point. And so we both agreed upon that. We made the agreement as far as that. We made the well. I feel we talked about how we wanted the bills to be paid. We talked about how we would have our lives go, kind of as much as you can for what you have going on at that time. So we talked about that. I didn't say in another video, but I inherited two children because he had been married prior, but his first wife passed. And so we kind of went into, well, what happens if I have to discipline them? But, I mean, they're teenagers. And probably soon after we got married, it seemed like, well, one was always taller than me, and the other one wasn't. The youngest one wasn't. But by the time we got married, they shot up like beanstalks. So, not that discipline still doesn't come into play, but it was kind of like, you pretty much done that, so I don't really have to get involved in that. Um, maybe say something here or there, but for the most part, and they're good guys. These guys are good. They're grown and gone and have children and all of that, and so he did it. I'm gonna say he did an excellent job raising his sons, and he did raise them. They were with him. They did not go live with grandmothers, aunties, and all of that. They were his children to raise, and he did a fantastic job. Um, a lot of things, in our dating, he was to me so easy to date. We got along well because we were similar in a lot of ways. We were similar in the ways of how we liked our house to be ran. Um, we cooked sometimes together. Um, okay, y'all ladies, y'all know that changed after we got married. Ain't no lying. That changed after we got married. We still would go out and get groceries. That wasn't something that we made an agreement upon, but we sometimes still go out and do that. Get groceries, pick up things. Sometimes I go pick up some things during the week. Sometimes, depending on what we're missing, he goes and picks up things during the week. Um, it's not called simping, guys. It's called running a household. um, we're not running a slave trades or sex trade and stuff over here. This is called having a life of a family that works. Some people say, oh, they don't want to have what's that called when dysfunctional family. Well, if you what are you comparing the dysfunction to? The dysfunction is if you're comparing it to TV, because that's not real life. We're running a real life situation, family thing going over here, and so we both have to do things. We're not doing it on a 50-50. We're doing 100-100, trying to make this thing do what it needs to do. Everybody's over here working, giving, doing things to make sure it happens. So, I mean, there's no splitting 50-50. You need to be 100% every day. We both take care of the children. We both take care of the grandchildren. We both make sure food is here. We both make sure bills are paid. We both make sure this household runs. And that's what we tried to agree upon before we got married. Um, we haven't done the moving away. We were at a comedy show one time with Carlos Miller. And we were sitting in the VIP at the Stardome. If you'd have to be there to see it and know it. But anyway, somehow we became part of the show. And he asked if we were married. Yes. How long you been married? Long time. We said yes, whatever. He's like, y'all been together that whole time? It's like, yeah. He was like, you asking him, you never went and had to stay with your brothers a weekend or something? No, both his brothers passed, sadly though. But it was like, no, we haven't done the split ups and stuff. He was like, really? And then he's like, well, why you with him and stuff? And I'm thinking this comedy show, I'm joking. I'm like, for the money. I did like this, and he's like, oh, he made good money. He's like, y'all girls gotta watch out for that. I was like, okay, maybe I should have said something more substantial because we were part of the show, and it could have been some people listening who may need to hear. But it was just like he and I, we really get along. Now, I don't know if I'm one of those people who say, "Oh, my husband is my friend or my best friend," because I'm like, well, what does that mean? It's like my husband is my husband. Um, he does what a husband does. It's like he's not my father. I'm not his mother. I have girlfriends that I talk about certain things to, or my sisters, or my brothers. I have him I talk to. I mean, I pretty much probably talk to him about most everything, but I don't know. I don't understand that concept of my husband. I mean, I know people say you should be friends with the person first. I don't know if that's necessarily true because you should. I don't know. You let me know what you think, because I don't know about that. My thought is You're going to be doing more than you're going to be doing with your friends, with your husband. He's not a roommate. He's not a sibling. He's not a parent that I have to tell anything to. He's my husband. So that is a different relationship and a hierarchy of things in life. So I don't necessarily say that, but I do talk to him about a lot of stuff, and sometimes I don't talk to him about things. And we talk about things, but now one thing he told me for sure is if I want to go to a restaurant, like I think it's called the Melting Pot, is that what it's called, where they have the fondues and stuff? He was like, "You go do that with your girlfriends. I'm a meat and potatoes type of guy. I don't do that." Now my husband is not like a big guy. He's more of if you said in wrestling, like a lightweight. But he's a man where he likes to meat and potatoes. He's not doing that little fondue dipping type thing. But he probably would do it and like it, because I'm gonna tell you, it's a lot of stuff he said he was not gonna do, and I've been doggone he's done them. Like we just went for my birthday. He did not want to go to this thing, but just since it's here, I'm gonna show y'all. We went to Shin Yun because he knows I like it, and I went some years ago by myself because would nobody go with me. But we went, and he bought me the T-shirt. We got the book, and then when you do that, buy the T-shirt and that, they give you this ornament. And so we both got a T-shirt and a book and all of that stuff. So it's so cute. Gave us this pretty bag and all. So a lot of stuff he didn't think he'd do, but he does. We've gone to Broadway shows. He loved Miss Saigon so much he went to see that twice. He's taken me to see Miss Diana Ross, and I'm just saying that stuff he just really didn't care about doing. And but when you're in a marriage, you compromise. You are considerate of a person and what they like and feel, and so we've done a lot of changes. Now some things didn't go as planned in the marriage since we've been married. We did that financial planning. Ours, we didn't go see somebody, but as soon as we were approaching the wedding, my job cut my time in half and sent me to a different location across town. So, I mean, it wasn't a bad. It was a bad thing. It was unexpected, and they could have. What they were gonna send me was closer to the house, and then they switched it up. So we had to switch some things up. Yeah. And like I said, we never did the off and on thing. We've always been here together, living together. Um, and I mean, the rest of it just, it works. It works. We have it set up how we're going to go visit family during holidays. We always go to his family to spend Thanksgiving. I mean, since the time we started dating through now, going on 23 years, we've spent every Thanksgiving with his family and Christmas with my family. And it's because his family's had some deaths and stuff, tragics, I guess. So during Christmas, they kind of just spend it with the individual families. Because, I mean, if I'm 55, they're older, and he has two sisters younger, and so they all have children and grandchildren and all of that. So we spend Christmas with my family, and then my family, sometimes they're here, sometimes we're in Selma, sometimes we're in Prattville, or just wherever people are, whoever agrees to host. um let's see, what other agreements? Man, the cleaning stuff, we don't have a problem. I always say to him, I said, I'm that woman that doesn't have to say I have to clean up behind my husband. I said, if he leaves his shoes out on the floor, I'll pick them up or I'll leave them there. It just depends, because maybe he wanted them to be there. It's not a problem, because he cleans up behind himself. I clean up behind myself. So we don't have to clean up behind each other in that way. Um, right now, the girls do the dishes. Well, some time ago, I was doing the dishes because just because of timing. Like I said, my job changed my hours to half of the time They changed my shift. Like, we both used to work at night. I ended up working during the day. He ended up working at night. So I mean, with me having less hours to work, I mean, yeah, I picked up that kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, hours work, but we did some pre-planning. We didn't live together before we got married, but I tried to make sure I was paying attention to things that he was doing, and I'm sure he was paying attention to how I was living. And I know he didn't ever have a situation. We never had a situation where he had some woman come in my face, ba 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 ba, and then I never had any guys come in his face, you know, So um, it was just a pleasant situation dating, and some things were unexpected after marriage, and I'm sure some videos I will tell you some things that surprised me. He had been married before, and I had never been married and didn't have children. And I would have never thought I would have married a person who had children. But the situation was unique with him because I didn't want to have to deal with baby mamas. You always feel like you can do what Trick Daddy said. Trick Daddy love the kids. It's the mamas he can't stand. Well, just didn't want to be involved with mamas and all of that kind of stuff. So I would have never gotten with somebody who just had children or who got divorced. Yeah, I was just thinking of some people I know who were like, yeah, 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 you sure didn't marry me. And no, 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 no. I just didn't want that hassle. So I'm just, with that thought, I'm just going to say, ah, if you and your spouse did make some agreements before the vows, or your vows before the vows, we didn't do any extra vows. Speaking of that, everybody thought because I like to write and that kind of stuff, and I'm a creative, that I would probably do something like that. I didn't. Look, it was enough. I just have to tell you, it was enough. I sold my wedding dress. I was thinking about doing all the bridesmaids because I wasn't going to have as many as I had. I ended up having like 10 or 11. And I was just like, I couldn't do it all and work. So I sold my dress. I did all the decorations. I'm looking at the pictures now to see what all I did. I did all the decorations for the wedding planning because I wanted to do it my way, and and for the rehearsal, not just a rehearsal. I meant for the reception. So by the time you've done your wedding dress, I did my veil. Oh yeah, it was so beautiful. It was beautiful. Let's see. I got a picture right here. Should I tell y'all that one? Oh, this one is good. I'm gonna show y'all this one here. Just cause we right here by it. Okay, I'm trying to get in a place where I can show it to you. I got some all over the place. Well, you know what? I can flip it. Let's see. I'm gonna flip. Okay, so that's us getting married, and so I decorated all of this art. I had to build it. I had to find the flowers, source them, buy the flowers. Look at the bells, the bows, my wedding dress with my scalloped sleeves. My sister-in-law did, my oldest brother's wife, she does that kind of stuff. She did that. And my bouquet. And then I had, back here, I had this arch, and over here I had another arch. You just can't see it. But so, and they were decorated. And I tell y'all, after that, I didn't need to come up with any vows. I mean, it would have been great, but I was like, it's, if you ever plan a wedding, it can be exhausting. And so, yep, that's us there doing it. But anyway, I'm going to say, please subscribe and like. And like I said, lighthearted about it because he and I, you just have to know us. We're easygoing people, and we don't cause a ruckus. We don't do a whole lot of fussing and all that stuff. We've done that, been there, done that, and And like I said, I realized when that video where I said arguments, we'll be arguing about the same thing forever. So we just don't argue about it every day.